The savannah breathed heat and tranquility. The lion lay under a sparse tree, stretched out on the dry grass, enjoying the warmth and rest after the hunt. His eyes were half closed, his breathing was even, and silence reigned around him. The wind gently ruffled his mane, and the sun reflected off his golden fur, giving the lion an air of majesty and tranquility. But suddenly, a strange sound came from behind him, like a wet rustling. The lion pricked up his ears, turned his head, but did not have time to do anything. Something dark and shiny slipped out of the grass, huge, like a snake, but dense, sticky, resembling a giant leech. In an instant, it pressed itself against his side, as if suctioned to his body, and the lion let out a muffled roar, trying to get up. He strained his muscles, scratched the ground with his claws, but his body felt heavy. The creature held him tightly, and every jerk only drained his last strength. The sun beat down mercilessly, the air shimmered, and the lion lay motionless, breathing heavily, realizing that he could not cope on his own. Wild nature suddenly ceased to be safe. Everything changed in an instant. The hot midday sun beat down on the savannah. The rescue team's SUV slowly rolled across the dry ground, leaving a trail of dust behind it. Inside sat 3 rescuers, carefully scanning the surroundings. They had been patrolling the area for several hours, hoping to find the source of the distress signal that had come in that morning. Suddenly, the driver slowed down. One of the rescuers raised his binoculars and looked into the distance. In a scorched clearing, he noticed a lion lying motionless, and on its body, a dark, round creature shimmering in the sun. It was huge, moving slightly, and seemed to be completely pinning down the predator. The car stopped at the foot of a small hill. 2 rescuers got out and slowly approached, shielding their eyes from the sun. They looked at each other, not believing their eyes. Something colossal, black, like a giant leech, was indeed lying on the lion. One rescuer took out a camera to record what was happening, while the other tried to assess the animal's condition from a distance. They understood that what they were seeing was extremely rare and possibly dangerous. Rescuers stood nearby, watching as the giant leech slowly writhed on the lion's body. The air shimmered with heat, and traces of a struggle were visible near the animal. One of the rescuers picked up a radio, and keeping his cool, relayed the message to base. The situation was critical, and a veterinary team with equipment was needed. The radio crackled as he explained that the leech was enormous, larger than the lion itself. The minutes dragged on slowly. Finally, the distant roar of an engine could be heard. A second SUV was approaching. When the vehicle stopped, the veterinarians quickly unloaded boxes and cylinders of safe solution. One of them removed the hose from the high-pressure nozzle, while another checked the pressure in the tank. The veterinary team worked smoothly, as if they had been training for this. The sun beat down mercilessly, but no one was distracted. Everyone understood that time was against them. Coming closer, the veterinarians turned on the sprayers. Thick white foam burst out of the nozzles under pressure, covering the leech from head to tail. It hissed and slowly began to peel away from the lion's body. Streams of solution glistened in the sun, reflecting off the leech's wet skin. The team worked in sync. One directed the stream, the other monitored the reaction. It all looked like an operation on the edge of science and instinct, where every movement could decide the fate of the predator. The foam was still slowly dripping down the lion's body, covering it with a thick white layer. The vets were directing powerful jets from sprayers with extreme precision, making sure the solution got under the black, shiny surface of the giant leech. It shuddered, as if losing strength under the pressure and action of the reagent. The air was saturated with the smell of antiseptic and moisture, and the sun reflected off the droplets, making the whole scene dazzlingly bright. After a few minutes, the leech began to slowly detach itself. Its colossal body, slightly larger than the lion itself, slid off his back, leaving long, wet marks on his fur. One rescuer carefully pried it loose with a wooden stick, while another helped push the heavy creature aside. Foam splattered across the dry grass, and the whole scene looked like a scene from a documentary about incredible natural phenomena. When the leech finally slid off his back, the vets noticed dozens of red marks. Round, almost perfect marks like burns. They ran in rows along his spine, left by the suction cups of the huge creature. The fur around them was torn out, the skin was reddened, and some areas were bleeding slightly. Rescuers carefully treated these areas with antiseptic, applying a cooling gel. The lion breathed quietly, sometimes trembling with pain, but it was already clear that life was returning to his body. Meanwhile, another group of rescuers stood nearby and tried to chase away a huge leech that was writhing on the ground near the bushes. Its dark, shiny body left wet marks on the grass, and each of its jerks caused everyone to panic. One of the rescuers pushed the creature with a long stick, while another guided it toward a small swamp. The leech reluctantly crawled away, hissing and sliding across the ground, until it finally disappeared from view. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. The threat was behind them, and now they could focus on the lion. After treating the wounds, the veterinarians immediately began to apply special cooling patches to the lion's back. They carefully covered the red round marks left by the suction cups to reduce pain and prevent infection. One veterinarian closely monitored the animal's condition, while another recorded every step on a tablet. The lion lay quietly, feeling the coolness of the healing patches and the warmth of the hands helping him recover from his ordeal. 7 days have passed since the rescue. During this time, the lion was under round-the-clock observation at the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. Veterinarians checked his condition every day, changed his bandages, and monitored the healing of the wounds on his back. Now the day had come when the bandages could be removed. The rescuers approached cautiously, so as not to scare the lion, and removed the white protective strips one by one. Healthy skin was visible underneath. Only slight marks reminded us of what had happened. The lion snorted quietly and stood up on his paws, feeling strong again. After an examination and a final feeding, pieces of fresh meat neatly arranged in a bowl, it was time to let him go home. The gate opened, the wind gently rustled the grass, and the lion took a few confident steps forward. He turned to look at the rescuers, as if understanding who had given him a second chance at life, and then slowly walked toward the savannah, where the sun was setting. The rescuers stood in silence, watching him disappear among the golden grass. The story of this lion serves as a reminder that the power of wildlife lies not only in its strength and instincts, but also in its ability to survive, thanks to the kindness and compassion of people. Rescuers, veterinarians, and simply caring hearts gave him a chance at a new life. And somewhere far away, among the tall grasses of the savannah, the lion once again tastes freedom. Free, strong, and alive. Subscribe and help us give more animals a second chance. See you next time.